Good morning. It's 9 a.m. and I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Building Operating Committee of June 25th, 2026. Before we begin, please note this meeting is being recorded. Welcome to everyone joining us here in the room, as well as those listening on the phone. If you'd like to provide public comment at today's meeting, and if you have not done so already, please let Thomas know at the back of the room or Justine on the call-in line know what items you'd like to speak on today. Madam Secretary, please begin by calling the roll.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. Starting with Director Cochran.
Here.
Devlin.
Here.
Giudice.
Here.
Maston is absent. Parr.
Here.
Vice Chair Rodoni.
Here.
Chair Garbarino is absent. President Rabbit.
Here.
Great. You have a quorum. Also in the room, we have Director Hill, but we are not and Hardiman. We are not a committee of the whole. So I'll let you know when that changes.
Thank you. We'll begin with agenda item number 3, which is to authorize the execution of the third amendment to the 12th amendment, to the 12th amendment.
Is that appropriate?
To the professional service agreement number 2011-B-2, design services for the Golden Gate Bridge physical suicide deterrent system with HNTB Corporation. John is here to present the report. John, please begin.
Thank you. Good morning, Vice Chair and members of the committee. I'm here this morning to recommend that the Building and Operating Committee recommend that the Board of Directors authorize execution the third addendum to the 12th Amendment to the Professional Service Agreement number 2011-B-2, design services for the Golden Gate Bridge physical suicide deterrent system with HNTB Corporation in an amount not to exceed $500,012 for continuation of the construction engineering design support services during construction of Project 1526, Golden Gate Bridge physical suicide deterrent system construction. Sufficient funds to pay for this PSA addendum are included in the budget for Project 1526. So HNTB is the designer of record for the Golden Gate Bridge physical suicide deterrent system. And in addition to the net system, this also includes the development of the design for the suspension bridge maintenance travelers. So HNTB provided the design details for the structural frames, mechanical frames, and their attachment to the bridge, and then developed, as part of the contract, performance criteria for the other elements of the mechanical system, the motors, the electrical system, and the control systems. And the contractor was responsible to complete the design for those components and then construct them and integrate them into the maintenance travelers. So the construction of the net is complete, and all the other contract work is complete except for the completion of the design and fabrication of the maintenance travelers. So the contractor and its maintenance traveler designer and fabricator, they've been progressing with the work, but not as quickly as anticipated, and they informed the district that they will not be complete with this work until sometime next year, 2027. They're having some problems just integrating the power and traveler controls onto the travelers themselves, and they still have some additional work to do. So engineering staff evaluated HNTB's budget remaining on their PSA and just looked at the remaining technical submittals that HNTB will be required to review and comment on, and also the testing that will have to be performed by the traveler, and determined that an increase in HNTB's budget would be necessary to complete this work. The remaining scope of services consists of reviewing and recommending approval for the contractor's traveler technical submittals, working drawings, requests for any substitutions or questions, preparing written responses to the contractor's request for information, and attending the shop testing of the maintenance travelers. In addition, HNTB's scope of work included performing a final survey elevation of the bridge by the U.S. Coast Guard. The new traveler rails extend into the navigation channel, and the Coast Guard wants an exact survey of those rails. Also, HNTB's scope of services include preparing a historic American engineering record, HAER, and also a National Historic Landmark, NHL, application for the Golden Gate Bridge. These documents were part of the environmental process requirements and are required before the project is completed. So HNTB has prepared these, submitted them to Caltrans, submitted them to National Park Service numerous times, and we're still submitting them to National Park Service. They have lots of questions and comments and requested revisions, none of which were included in the original scope of services. So engineering staff requested and HNTB provided a cost proposal in the amount of $500,012 for the additional scope of services. Staff reviewed that cost proposal and found it to be reasonable, also consistent with HNTB's audited labor and billing rates. So staff recommends that the Billing and Operating Committee recommend that the Board of Directors authorize execution of the third amendment to the third addendum to the 12th Amendment to PSA number 2011B2 in the not to exceed amount of $500,012 to perform the additional services and to extend the services through June 30th of 2027. The district manager, small business enterprise compliance program determined that there will be a 5.6% small business participation associated with it. That's primarily for the surveying work that will be performed. And as I mentioned, there are sufficient funds in the Bridge Division capital budget for this project to fund these services. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Are there any questions or comments from directors on this item? That concludes the discussion on item number 3. Before we take our vote, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no speaker cards on this item, and we have no speakers on the public line for this item.
Thank you. I'm looking for a motion on agenda item 3, please. So moved. Second. We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, please do the roll call.
Thank you. We're still a committee, so I will not be reading the entire row. Starting with Dr. Cochran.
Yes.
Devlin.
Yes.
Giudice.
Yes.
Maston is absent. Parr.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rodoni.
Yes.
Chair Garbarino is absent, and President Rabbit.
Aye.
There you go. That motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 4, which is an authorized approval of the contract change order number 02S1 to contract number 2024F010, San Francisco Ferry Terminal West and East Berth Ramp Rehabilitation with Manson Construction. John, you also present this. Please continue.
Thank you. And good morning again, Vice Chair Rodoni and members of the committee. For this item, I'm requesting that the Billing and Operating Committee recommend that the Board of Directors authorize approval of contract change order number 2, supplement 1, to contract 2024F010, San Francisco Ferry Terminal West and East Berth Ramp Rehabilitation with Manson Construction Company in the amount of $200,000 for additional repairs to the San Francisco Ferry Terminal East Berth camel structure, with the understanding that sufficient funds are available in the contract number 2024 F10 construction contingency to finance this change order. So the Board of Directors in October authorized the award of this construction contract to Manson, and the contractor has been progressing with the work. In October of 2025, change order number 2 was brought before the Billing and Operating Committee, and then the Board of Directors authorized approval of that contract change order for repairs to the camel structure. The camel structure is an adjacent structure to the berth. It's where the vessels lay up upon before the berths and ramps are extended for people to board in on board. So the contractor has been progressing with that work also. The contract change order was for an amount of $914,155, consisted of 2 parts. One part was a fixed amount for $732,155, sorry. And it also had a time and material amount for $182,000. Those were for steel repairs to the float. At the time, couldn't see all of the float because it was submerged, partially submerged, and it had paint on it and other growth. So we did an estimate for the steel repairs that we could see as a time and material basis. The float was, the camel was removed, and there's some photos here showing the float camel structure. And part of it, as you can see, was underwater at the time and also covered in marine growth. And the pontoons, which are not shown in this, were obstructing some of the components of the camel. So when it was removed, it was brought to an off-site facility, and where it was cleaned and sandblasted, at which time all of the other areas requiring repair became evident. So we did have the $182,000 in time and material, and the contractor began work using those funds. But it became apparent that the extent of the deterioration, we would exceed that amount. So engineering staff looked at the amount of deterioration and also looked at the cost for making the repairs and came up with an estimate for an additional $200,000 to finalize all of the repairs to complete the camel rehabilitation. So staff recommends that the Building Operating Committee recommend the Board of Directors authorize approval of contract change order 2, supplement 1, in the amount of $200,000 to contract number 2024 F10 to be financed with the construction contingency for project 2443, the San Francisco Ferry Terminal West and East Berth Ramp Rehabilitation, as described in the report. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Are there any questions or comments from directors? Yes, go ahead.
John, I'm looking at those pictures on page 4, and I notice that one crossbar is really deteriorated. Why did the others not deteriorate similar?
Why did they not?
Why did they not? I mean, if you see that rust on the top, and then those others look like they're pretty good shape.
It depends on the coating system and how it was applied. So their coating system maybe had a small deficiency at that location. These facilities are, over 40, 50 years old, and this is at a location where it's difficult if you find some deterioration, to go in the water and try and touch it up. So it's just a condition and the location of where the camel is located that some parts will deteriorate, some parts won't.
Okay. Just curious.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments or questions from directors? Right? Seeing none, that concludes this item, discussion on this item. Before we take our vote, is there anyone in the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no speakers on the line or in the room for this item.
Thank you. May I have a motion on agenda item 4, please?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Madam Secretary, please do the roll call.
Excuse me.
Thank you. Voting on item number 4, starting with Director Cochran.
Yes.
Devlin.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Maston is absent. Parr.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rodoni.
Yes.
Chair Garbarino is absent. And President Rabbit.
Aye.
That motion passes.
Thank you. The next agenda item is agenda item 5, which is authorized execution of the First Amendment to contract number 2024-D-020 B2G Now Compliance System. Amertine say. Davenport is here to present. Sorry, I badly mispronounced you.
No, it's okay. I accept it. Artima Say Davenport, thank you so much. Good morning to the president, the board, the chair, district staff, and everyone else in the room. I do thank you for the opportunity to present to this committee to request authorization that this Building and Operating Committee authorize the First Amendment to Contract 2020 D020, Contract 2024 D020, which is the B2G compliance system, in a not to exceed amount of $162,337.55. And that's just to continue uninterrupted labor compliance monitoring service, which is powered by LCP Tracker software. Which is going to increase our current construction capacity of up to $100 million to moving into the next tier of up to $1 billion in construction contract value. And that will potentially take us to the end of the contract, which is set to expire on May 14th, 2028. So just to give you a little bit of history of what the B2G system is and the LCP Tracker system, In 2018, the district did sought out some services for contract compliance management system to improve how we monitor and track the disadvantaged business enterprise, or DBE, and small business participation, as well as subcontractor information, prompt payment compliance, workforce utilization, and the semi-annual reporting that's done to FTA on a semi-annual basis. Prior to this software, I was working a little inefficient with paper processes and just manually trying to monitor and track all this information. So with that and looking for a contract compliance system, staff did consider the engineering department for a labor compliance solution. So at the time we procured the B2G, it wasn't the best interest for the district to procure a B2G system, which has a partnership with LCP Tracker. So it pretty much was a package deal, bundled deal for the two systems. And B2G is a nationally recognized leader, one of the leaders in contract compliance management, as well as LCP Tracker is nationally recognized as an industry leader for labor compliance and certified payroll software. So what the LCP Tracker module is, it does support certified payroll administration, prevailing wage, monitoring, workforce reporting, and the Davis-Bacon compliance for public works construction contracts. It also interfaces with the California Department of Industrial Relations with their certified payroll reporting system. So it's by generating the DIR compatible electronic payroll files and performing prevailing wage compliance validations. The system does enable contractors to electronically submit their certified payroll records. It does allow district staff to also review payroll records and monitor labor compliance requirements with contractors, as well as facilitate compliance with the California prevailing wage laws and reporting requirements. The two systems, as I mentioned, they were purchased as an integrated package solution. So rather than having purchasing separate packages for the contract compliance system as well as labor compliance, it did make sense to go ahead and purchase the two together. So in fact, the B2G system, as staff enters all that information on contract award, the prime and subcontractor information, prompt payment requirements, and all of this, all of the data, when you enter that into the B2G system, it's literally a click of a button. In fact, it's the first question when you're setting up the contract: will the contract require prevailing wage monitoring? So with that, the district is able to manage both contract compliance and labor compliance within one single contract. The B2G Now system was configured to manage up to 200 contracts, and at the time, the LCP Tracker was configured to manage up to 100 million in construction capacity. Because these two systems work so well, at the initial, when we initially procured this, staff did determine that it was in the best interest to enter into a new contract, which is contract 2024-D020, to ensure the continuity of these critical compliance services. The labor compliance package remained the same at the 100 million capacity, still sufficient at that time. So you'll see in Table 1 on the last page of your report, there's the breakdown for that contract for both systems. Fast forwarding within recently, the beginning or last of maybe in December or January, we awarded contract 2025-B052, which is our seismic retrofit construction contract. That contract alone was awarded, I believe, $864 million, over $860 million. So that contract alone was the driver to push us, the district, into the next service tier to manage public works construction contract at a capacity of $1 billion. So as a result, the proposed First Amendment, it is necessary to expand the system capacity from the 100 million to the 1 billion. This does ensure that the district can continue uninterrupted labor compliance, monitoring to effectively manage prevailing wage, certified payroll, and workforce reporting requirements for these major capital projects. So with that, the without the system, engineering would be going back to as well as their paper processes and trying to manage and monitor hundreds of payroll records and wage classifications. So it's definitely, which could run the risk of potential errors or any deficiencies in audits, but potentially, maybe. But so the system has proven to be very efficient for both contract compliance and labor compliance. So with this First Amendment, the First Amendment to Contract 2024 D20, it will compensate BTG. Again, LCP Tracker is a subcontractor to the BTG system. So the additional costs associated with providing the LCP Tracker services, again, are very necessary to support the district expanding construction contracts. The amendment, again, will enable the continued use of the integrated system. With this, the fiscal impact for this amendment, it is an additional $162,337.55. Of that, the $86,490.93, that is set to be paid in the district's division operating budget for fiscal year 25-26. It does include that prorated overage adjustment for year 3, as well as the annual service fee for year 4, just because of the dates of the contract. So the contracts begins May 14th of each year and runs through May 15th of the following year. So with that, there are Table 2 does provide, in the last page of the report, Table 2 does provide a breakdown of the proposed amendment and the costs associated with or subsequent costs for year 5 would be absorbed in the fiscal year district's operating budget for fiscal year 26-27. So with that, I do want to state that this proposed amendment doesn't modify any scope of work. It just literally supports the cost to move from the current tier that we are in up to managing a contract capacity of up to $1 billion. So with that, I do recommend that the Building and Operating Committee recommends to the board to approve the First Amendment to Contract 2024 D020. I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Kima.
Of course.
Are there any questions from directors or comments? Seeing none, that concludes discussion on item 5. Before we take our vote, is there anyone in the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no speakers on the line, and we have no speakers in the room for this item.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to approve agenda item 4, please?
I'll move the item.
Thank you.
Second.
Madam Secretary, please do the roll call.
Thank you. With the first and second on item number 5, starting with Director Cochran.
Yes.
Devlin.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Maston is absent. Parr.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rodoni.
Yes.
Chair Garbarino is absent. And President Rabbit.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Have a great day.
We'll continue now into item 6, which is the informational monthly report from the board appointees on the Sonoma Marin Area Rail Transit Board. And I'll start by handing things over to Director Parr.
Thank you very much. Of course, we always brag about the number of people that we carry and how wonderful we are. And now if you read the Sonoma Marin Area Transit Board website, you'll find that it's full of wonderful things, as is the Press Democrat. Are any of you Press Democrat readers? Thank you. We have managed to move the Press Democrat over to our side. We have had so many wonderful articles in the Press Democrat. It's great to see it. So you can get all of the statistics on the website. If you want them, I've got a few of them here. But what I'd really like to point out today is the handout. And the reason is it's a little bit different kind of handout. It's not the typical how many people did we carry, what's our money like. It's called the Final Quality of Life Study. And when I saw that on the agenda, I did the same thing, Jerry. I thought, I wonder what they're going to do with this. And I was so impressed that I thought it was important that you at least look at it. You don't have to read it and memorize it, but I think it's important. It looked at, you can see on the first page, mobility, economics, land use, environment, public health, safety, and access to opportunity. And so they did a variety of outreach methods. And if you'll get to page, it doesn't look like they're numbered. It's the second flip over page, final study themes. And I think these are really important, and a couple of them will dig in a little deeper. But the first one is, even if you don't ride SMART, you still benefit. And there was a lot of discussion about that, about how the housing that's around SMART uses SMART to get their funding. It's a symbiotic relationship anytime SMART is near you. It's better than driving. Well, that's a question. We'll look and see. SMART links opportunity and community, brings local benefits to local people. It fuels the North Bay economy, and it keeps the North Bay moving. So let's just quickly flip. Even if you don't ride SMART, you still benefit. And so this is a graphic on how to see how many cars we take off the road. And I know people still are complaining about the traffic, and they go, oh, well, SMART doesn't do that good a job because there's still a lot. Well, folks, there are a lot of cars, and it does take a number of cars off. So the next one is SMART better than driving. SMART's reliable and has an on-time performance of 95%, especially compared to the highway, where there's an average delay of 10 to 20 minutes. And I can't attest to that this morning because there was no traffic this morning. But, we'll just assume that they picked the high traffic days. Compared to driving, it's 10 times safer. It links opportunity and community. I was impressed with how many people did not have car access. I don't think we think about that. Bert keeps pushing that all of us get rid of our cars. But in the actual survey, 33% of the responders didn't have cars. All right, then SMART, the next page, SMART brings benefits to local people. That's all the money that SMART people spend as they go up and down the corridor. And it fuels the North Bay economy. They did as part of the study, they figured out how much money actually was generated by SMART. All right, and the next one is just questions. I don't think you probably have any questions, but thank you for tolerating that. I just thought that was such a unique approach, because we always talk in the numbers and sometimes not the quality. So this is the quality of life study. The other thing that sort of takes your breath away is that we did approve going to Healdsburg and to Cloverdale, which is not unusual, but we approved a station in Geyserville. And evidently that station in we were all kind of, well, really? Evidently the station in Geyserville has always been part of the plan, just so that people don't have to make that long trip. If they need to go to Geyserville, they don't have to go back and forth. So you can look for that in the next 5 to 7 years, probably, we hope. So I thought that was kind of revolutionary. Anything else, David? David was online. He was sick.
I was keeping my germs away from the crowd. I'm better now. No cold.
As he coughs his way up.
That was a sneeze, just technically. That the Alexander Valley or Geyserville is interesting because it's halfway between Healdsburg and Cloverdale and allows for better phasing, honestly, to have a station at the end so you can get that first block of funds to hopefully get to Geyserville before you move on then to Cloverdale eventually. So that was interesting. I will say that on the SMART takes cars off the road. I mean, we all know primarily between Windsor and Larkspur, but the bridge, I think, is always going to be complemented by SMART because those that get off at Larkspur, if they go to the ferry, they're our customers. Plus, I think that one could conclude that by taking those cars off the road, it makes for everyone's travel to be a little less onerous, which means perhaps people will also choose, as they need to, many times looking at Bert, to continue in their cars going into the city, which helps the bridge. So, I mean, I do think that it works. There's a that relationship works and they complements both. So, and I also will, while we brag about the numbers at SMART and certainly worth bragging about in terms of the increase in ridership and hey, 1.4 million passengers a year is nothing to sneeze at. But as Dennis reminded me yesterday, we carried 300,000 in a month, a bus and ferry. So, but again, all working together, all making the whole system work in the corridor. And Mascots is also working.
I was going to say Mascots
is working very well. Maybe a tweak here or there along the way, as one could imagine, but that approach is what we need to do on every corridor, in my opinion. And I want to thank the bridge for being so amenable to that, because I think one could surmise some years ago, perhaps we would have pulled back from that, thinking that was going to take passengers and options away. But we're really working collaboratively, and I appreciate that.
And what we keep being reminded of, especially from the SMART point of view, is how many changes needed to be made in each of the organizations for Mascots to work. But it seems to be working. So I agree. Kudos to the organizations. And I know it was a little rough in the beginning, but I think it's smoothed out. People are able to get from the city back home, which was one of the areas. SMART has added trains early morning and evening to help with that. The bridge has added whatever they can. So I think the power of working together shows with the Mascots. So thank you for that.
Thank you for the report. Are there any questions from directors or comments?
Just wanted to make a comment. This morning I came on Waymo, $16, and I'm not picking up a parking space. and that isn't SMART itself, but looking at transit, I consider Waymo as a form of transit to get you to other parts without having to do parking and taking up real estate.
Bert, any other comments or questions? Okay, that concludes this discussion on item 6. Before we move on, is there anyone from the public who should speak on this item?
We have no speakers for this item.
Thank you. So no action is required for item 6. We'll continue with item 7. This is status report of engineering projects. John, welcome back.
Morning. Thank you again. My written report's before you, and I just have a few items I'd like to bring to your attention. First, on the seismic retrofit project, contractor is continuing to mobilize to the site. They've also fabricated all of the components for the access system that will be installed on the north side span. They're going to begin delivering those components to the job site in July and erecting that in August. So we're looking forward to that. Also wanted to report that the nighttime lane closures using the U-bit under bridge inspection truck have been ongoing and are continuing, and that work is progressing very well. And then I wanted to report that the district does have 4 other small structures in addition to the Golden Gate Bridge, and we're required to inspect those every 2 years, similar to the Golden Gate Bridge. We completed those inspections and the reports and submitted those to Caltrans for their submission to FHWA. So we're happy about that. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, John. Are there any questions for John on the engineering report? There's no action associated with item 7. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item or address the committee under item 8, which is public comment?
We have no speakers in the room. I know Justine had mentioned to me that there might have been people who joined the public line, so we're going to ask her in a second to poll the public line one last time to see if there's any speakers for the Building and Operating Committee. Justine, want to do that on your end?
Thank you, yes. Is there anyone new that's joined us that would like to speak this morning? Please press ** to unmute yourself and let me know. Again, if you'd like to speak, you will need to press ** on your device, unmute yourself and let me know. Madam Secretary, I'm not hearing anyone this morning. Thank you.
Thank you for polling. We have no other speakers for this committee.
Thank you. With that, we've reached the end of the agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Hearing no objections, that concludes the meeting of the Building and Operating Committee. Thank you. The time is 9:35.